So Tesla had another stellar performance today. $25. It's been going up over $20 a day for the last 3 days.
It's up 30% since the election.
And Tesla is one of these stocks that, very rarely does one individual stock get tied to a presidential election, right? Because it's a general overall economy. It's like, but Tesla kind of breaks that exception because the influence that Elon Musk had, A, on the election, and B, on Trump. Even now, I saw he's actually like camped out in Mar-a-Lago right now.
Yeah, he's been in Mar-a-Lago for a bit. Yep.
He's with Trump every day, playing golf, eating dinner, eating lunch. He's in the interviews because they're actually going over like what the cabinet is going to look like, who's the appointees. And from what CNN say, Elon is approving everyone or not approving everyone and giving his suggestions and talking to world leaders. Zelensky said he was on the phone with him. So he's in pocket as close as you could possibly be.
They said he might create his own position in the cabinet.
And he don't even need a position because the thing with creating a position is going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, title. Yeah.
So it's like he's better as just an unofficial advisor.
Yeah. And also from government contracting too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's going to benefit dramatically from that.
If you ever looked at Game of Thrones, my favorite character was Tyrion Lannister. Was my favorite character, and because it's always the guy next to the king with the most power, right? And the way that he masterminded the whole situation, that's somebody that I really related to. So I say that to say,
let me clean. He was never next to. They're gonna kill you. So I'll just. He was never the king's hand, but he was smart enough to be close enough to the king's hand.
He was in the mix.
He was in the mix always.
Always in a circle.
So Elon is going to be in the mix, and as a result, Tesla stock is skyrocketing. So, all right. Having said that, how far can it go? Because that's the obvious question. How far can it go? Is it doomed for a pullback? Short sellers lost a bunch of money on it.
5.2 billion
already. Yeah. So what's the future of this Tesla stock situation?
Number one, I want to tell short sellers to stop shorting stocks because there's limited upside unless you're shorting an option or a future equivalent of it. But if you're just flat out short selling the stock, too much risk on the downside to any publicly traded equity. The price I have it going to 520.28, so $520.28 within the next 16 months. Will it pull back? Yes, of course. But of course, him being so close to Trump, I told everybody 6 months ago he was going to be a better version of Dick Cheney. And here we are. I got a little villain arc theory about Elon. I'm going to get you one day, but for right now, we'll talk about the brilliance of him aligning himself with Trump for the benefit of his business. Starlink, as a result, will do very well. There was a reason why he was on the phone with Zelensky. It will help Starlink tremendously in 2026 or 2027. But of course, for all the people who keep saying, why you guys covering politics, stick to stocks, I keep telling you, the policies will mandate which sectors will do incredibly well. Like if there was no bailout package in 2008 for the country and interest rates went to zero, there would be no capital that flowed into tech. So politics do affect what stocks are going to perform well. And him having a direct tie to Trump and the entire cabinet is going to be, I'm not going to say control, but he's going to have, like Rashad said, a direct impact and selection over. It is going to be for his benefit, and Tesla's going to be one of the beneficiaries over the next 3 years as a result.
Yeah, I mean, it's the beneficiary right now, overwhelmingly. And I think if people are thinking because it's that the Tesla car is moving, you're very short-sighted. I know that you can now lease the Cybertruck, but that's not what's doing this. It's definitely his closeness to the situation and how it affects his business. In fact, I saw the new term, defense AI. And I was like, ooh, defense AI. This is the new thing. Like, this is a new thing. And so at the front of that is going to be a SpaceX, right? But a Palantir is a part of that as well.
Palantir, Meta are partnering too.
You see what I'm saying? Like, all these things make sense. In fact, when he's on the phone with the presidents of these other countries, it's not even to discuss strategy. They're thanking him. right? Like
Yes.
he's saying thank you for allowing us to have Starlink. This is how we were using communication, right? When he's on the phone with the president, they're thanking him, they're praising him. But now it gets him in more positions, right? Foreign countries are now looking at it like, wait, we need to have this technology as well. Or why don't we have this technology yet? And how can we utilize it? I mean, he's in prime position. If you look at all the target prices, I mean, this is only 5 days, right? Like we haven't even hit a full week since the election. The target prices have gone, and this is from Loop, this is from Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, Piper Sandler. You had it over 500. Their average was about 460.
Yeah.
Which is an extreme upside from right now. So would it be like behoove you to invest in it? No,
it would be great. And I told you guys at 212 on a pullback. Also, too, on a political side too, Rashad and Troy, you guys talk about the power of networking. I talked to somebody in Trump camp yesterday. He said one of the things that they've been doing for the last 3 months was just calling all the Democratic donors who had not been called by Biden or Barack the last 12 years. That's like, take the political leaning out of it. If the person that you donated money to never called you after, then Trump and Elon starts calling you.
Yeah, the
hell of a chess move.
The only thing that, and this goes back to when people talk about economic policy, and I told you like political intelligence, I said this over the weekend, is something that we need to study a little bit deeper. It's like when we talk about deregulation, that's going to help a guy like Elon who has a war chest of capital, right?
Yes.
So like when we see companies and we talk about mergers and acquisitions, these are the things that they're saying that we're going to see a lot more of: mergers and acquisitions, right? Companies being bought out of their rights, and now they're being part of a larger entity.
Yeah. If
there's deregulation, we're going to see a lot more of that. They're expecting even now there's going to be more IPOs in 2025.
Finally.
Right, like we saw that during the pandemic, right? That microcosm where it was an influx, and we saw these SPAC deals, and then now it's slowed down. The IPO market has slowed down. Some of the companies that we thought were going to IPO haven't, right? Like, and we talked about that. That is expected to pick up in 2025. But the mergers and acquisitions is going to be interesting. Who is now going to be acquired, right? Because what we've saw over the past 4 years is that when a large company tried to create a mergers and acquisition proposition,
had some roadblocks.
Here comes the roadblocks. Here comes, you got to meet in front of Congress. Here comes a delay. Oh, this is going to take 5 to 6 years.
Yeah.
If some of those barriers aren't in the way for large companies like Microsoft, like Apple, like and Nvidia, you're going to see a lot more flow. So like that's part of it. We have to make sure that we're focused on that, and like who they have their eyes on, who they're working with is number one, right?
Yes.
If they're working with them, they already have the relationship, but who's looking to acquire?
Yeah, I think also an underrated part of his empire is his government contracts. He had 300 government contracts just last year awarded to SpaceX and Tesla just last year. So obviously he probably is going to be able to do whatever he wants to do with the United States government. And the thing with the government is that it's the number one spender.
Yes. See,
the number one spender. Facts. That goes back to the whole DEI conversation as well, because a lot of these government agencies have programs in place for minority business women and minority business owners. People don't even know or take advantage of them. We've done several episodes about it, but long story short is that the government spends money with private businesses. They spend more money with private businesses than anybody in the world. So they spend a lot of money with Elon Musk on the Tesla side, on the SpaceX side. And that's going to, grow, right? He's probably locked in way more government contracts, being that he's going to pretty much be running the government, allegedly.
I mean, you would assume that spending will go up, and the thing is, like, how do you stop it, right? Like, if you don't have control of Congress, you don't go like. How do you get in front of that to say, all right, they have government contracts. He's working very close with the president. He has his private company. What do you?
And his products are better. Like if you look at Starlink versus Comcast, which company would you invest in? SpaceX versus Boeing. He had to go save one of those ships from Boeing. He's owed some favors from that. So like I was talking to somebody on Twitter this weekend. You can't be pro Boeing and pro Tesla. You have to pick one. There are different trades. So like if you're long SpaceX in the future, you're really saying in theory that you're short in Boeing, and that SpaceX will be the new Boeing for this era.
That's a fact.